This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I am Robert Gatewood, your host. If it affects my stakeholders, it affects me. Over at Amazon, the bots are doing the firing. Man, they got a bot for everything now. If you have built your business model on one-off sales, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. They don't have a better product than you. They just have better marketing. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls, but I'm saving businesses, saving jobs, trying to save our community. That's right. Man, that is quite a task when you think about it. Trying to save a whole community. Guess what? I can't do it by myself. I need business owners. I need successful businesses to make that happen. Because I'll tell you, if you have a strong and vibrant business community, you're going to do pretty good. A lot of problems that we think are insurmountable can be overcome by economic means. I mean, we can always have the political means and the spiritual means and the social means and all these other types of means, but you got to have that foundation. You have to have the foundation of economics and business and funds and money to fund these other aspirations. So that's why I think it's so important that we kind of put things in the right order. And I think we have to. Now, we can't, I'm not saying one is more important than the other, but you have to have that economic foundation. And that's why my mission, my purpose, my reason for being is to help our community build successful businesses. I'm Robert Gatewood. I'm a business owner, and I'm a business developer by trade. My company, Gatewood Marketing and Web, that's what we do. We help companies grow. We put them out there in the marketing sphere and branding and social space and help them get that footprint, because it's not for the just because you're a great plumber or a great attorney or a great CPA or a great mental health therapist. I have much respect for you, but sometimes those skills don't translate into business development. And so you need somebody to come along every now and then to kind of help you stay on the right and narrow. I've been doing this for quite a while now, probably about 20, almost 30 years as my own boss, working in the business development. I worked in corporate America for about 20 years, and I've also worked in the government space. I'm also an adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College, where I teach marketing. I teach social media, networking, sales. Matter of fact, I'm going to be teaching a course this coming next Saturday on the 20th, my signature course, Marketing Strategies for Today and Tomorrow. So I've been doing this for a minute, written a couple of books, Smarter Than the Boss and Played in Full. And that's not to brag, but that lets you know that I think when people start giving you advice, they should have some type of credibility. But if I was running my own business, like I said, I've helped many others. I work with some notable people like Joe Madison and Neely Fuller, the good people at BLE, Taxes and All, MRS Tax, and the list just goes on and on and on. But I'm saying that to say, this show, everybody might not have the funds available right away to pay for a guy like me. That's why I offer this show every week, because I think that business marketing is so fundamental and so foundational to the success of a business that not being able to afford it is not a good enough excuse. And I think some people, they can afford it, but they don't understand that that marketing is one of those things that you got to put before a lot of other things. I'm telling you, because you find out that marketing actually helps spear or launch some of those other things that you think are not marketing related. So anyway, thanks again for everybody for tuning in. Thanks for all of my loyal listeners who've been tuning in for years. And since we started over at Radio 1 with Miss Kathy Hughes at the trademark WL 1450 station over there. And now we have our space. We're in a digital space. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and we're on Twitter. And you can also get us on Instagram. You can catch some of the past shows and some of the blurbs. Good morning to my OG of Gatewood Brothers, Mr. Clyde Gatewood. Glad to see you joining us this morning. And much thank you for your service. He celebrated Veterans Day yesterday, and he, of course, was a veteran. Went over to Vietnam, and we thank you for your service. Got an exciting show today, ladies and gentlemen. We have an exciting show every week. Well, today is no exception. Today we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about sometimes the path to business success, particularly when it comes to service, can be complicated and made harder than it really needs to be. So today in my marketing sermon, I'm going to talk about making it easy. That's right. How to make it easy for people to do business with you. Many things in business that we think we have to throw money at. We think we have to go out and hire a big time marketing guy like me or some other person. Or you think you have to empty your bank account. When really, sometimes some of these problems that we have in business and customer service are self-imposed. So what I'm going to do is talk about in my sermon later in the day is make it easy for people to do business with you. And I'm going to tell you how to do it, how we're going to move a lot of those obstacles that's standing between you and making this money. So we're going to talk about that later in the show. Also, we're going to do the news later on. I'm going to talk about some of the things that are happening in the news and contextualize it so that we can stay abreast of what's happening out here, so that we're not caught flat-footed by some of these things that are coming down the pike. But before I do, I always got to have a story. Got to have a story. Today, I was going to run something past you today. And that is, you've heard the saying, means to an end. Sometimes people throw that phrase around. It's a means to an end. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you what that means and how it can be impactful to your business, particularly if you take the right approach. Now, this really bothers me to no end. There goes that word. Dealing with customers and clients on a day-to-day basis. And they, believe me, they mean well. They have the word mean. See what I mean? It just keeps popping up. Means and end. Well, means is an action or a system which gets a result or a method. Okay? That is a mean. The end is the goal that results or what you seek to achieve. Unfortunately, many people get the two mixed up. They're focusing so much on the means that they lose sight of the end. Now, what do I mean? Well, I'll give you an example. We do web services. We build some of the best websites out here. I mean, you want a nice website, then we got you. But the website is a tool. It is a means to an end and should not be confused with the end itself. And one way you can tell if something, whether it's a mean or an end, if there are other ways to get to that same result. Now, a website is for communication, branding, distribution, collecting money, but there are other ways to get there. So the website is one means to several ends. If you lose sight of the fact that you need branding, marketing, distribution, collecting money, and you focus all of your money and energy and effort on the means and not lose focus of the end, you're going to end up, you're not going to get to your end. And so I have to say that every now and then. I have to remind people in life, not just for websites, but in life, if I decide to get in my car and I've got to get to the store, the car is the means to get me there. The goal is the store. Don't spend all your time out there, cleaning out your mats and getting the bird poop off. I mean, you want to do those things too, but the goal is to get to the store. Don't spend all the time on the means and not the end. Now, there's some things that can confuse the means and the ends. And one of those things, like enjoyment. If the means is fun, then, like a car or something that gives you pleasure, then of course it's okay to kind of understand that you may spend more time on that means and forget about the end. Sometimes status can get in the way, or personal bias, misinformation. Those are things that can confuse us and help us lose sight of the end that we're trying to get to. I use the website as an example again. We just finished this week. We finished the website for a political candidate. Now, fortunately, this person understood his goal is to get that website out there so he can collect that money. We didn't spend the rest of the year fooling around with the website because the person understood the means. It had an end in sight. We do that with other things too. So in life, whether it's your business, whether it's your organization, your nonprofit, or whatever, don't lose sight of the end. Okay? Now I'm gonna tell you how you can do that. Then I'm gonna move on. We're gonna get to our news story for today. This is how you can do this. Don't get bogged down in pettiness. That's a good way to lose sight of the end. That can give quarter to perfectionism, which is a perfect way to get bogged down in the means and to lose sight of the end. That's going to cost you precious time and precious money, and it's going to set you up for failure. How to prevent that? Well, first of all, understand that there is a difference between the means and the end. And sometimes you have to ask yourself, when you're in the middle of something, particularly a lengthy process, you want to say, am I really focusing on the goal, or am I spending too much time on the means to get there? Okay? And like Brother Bradley said, keep your eyes on the prize. That's an excellent way to put it. Keep your eyes on the prize. So am I spending too much time on the means and not the end? Let me give you some more tips on how to not get lost, get mired and bogged down. Understand the difference. Have a goal in mind. Identify the end. Identify the means. Identify the end first. And then you can fill in the means because you're going to realize there's several ways to get there. Are there other ways to get to that means, okay, to that end? Also, when you put a timeline on it, this way it gets real. You put a timeline on it and a budget, that makes it real. But if you leave it open-ended, you're going to spend all your time on the means and you're never going to get to the end. Folks, why am I telling you this? Because one, we don't have precious time and money to spend fooling around on things that are not going to get us to our goal. Our goal should be to build these successful businesses, put people to work, create a legacy that we can pass on to our children, and we can't spend all of our money fooling around with petty stuff that can sometimes confuse us, distract us. And I must admit, too, and I love my salespeople out there, but sometimes you get a good salesperson on the phone. They're trying to eat, they're trying to do their thing, but their job is not necessarily always to get you to your end. Their job is to sell that product, whether it's a website, whether it's a car, whether it's an office space, whether it's a suit of clothes. What is the goal? Keep that in mind at all times, and you will not get lost as we pursue this in the pursuit of success. Folks, that's my little thought for today. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. I want to say good morning to some people. Good morning, Brother Brown, the greatest plumber in town. Glad you could join us this morning. Thank you for everything you do. Good morning, Brother Christ, Emmanuel. And he's out in the gospel space and doing some great things, music and all that good stuff. And he sent some good people my way too. Thank you, Brother Christ, for everything you do. And everybody else who's tuning in. I see your numbers out there. Thank you for the love. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some things that are happening in the news. Man, what's happening with Tesla? Man, I tell you, Elon Musk. And there's some new hot stocks on the rise. We're going to talk about some things that are happening in the work from home. We're going to talk about a few other things that's going on. So don't go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We're here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls. We're saving businesses. We're saving jobs, saving our community. We'll be right back in a moment. One of those pivotal aspects of business success, you have to tie it to something. You have to ground it. Because marketing is all about psychology. It's understanding human behavior. Success is not a finite. You have control over what constitutes success. If you are a business owner, you are a rare breed. You might as well admit it. People don't always understand business owners. And like we march to a different drum. And so sometimes you get into these discussions with people who have never done it. It's like talking to a brick wall. I mean, I'm not knocking people who are not business owners, but I do admit that business owners, we do kind of have a different way of thinking. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Thank you to our supporters and to our sponsors like BLE Executive Suites. They have their 3 locations in the DC area. They have one down at the National Harbor where the big wheel goes around and the big man coming out of the ground, the awakening. That's a great location. A lot of hair salons and beauty practitioners have found that space very attractive, because they have the flexible rates and they have the services, waiting areas, and then we have the spot in Largo, convenient to Baltimore and Greenbelt and Central Maryland, and then they have their place over in College Park, which is a hub zone, so people in the government space. So BLE is a great resource for small businesses. Call them 301-322-1700 or go to blesuites.com if you're trying to get your business off the ground, and they'll be glad to help you in many of their services, phone services, office suites, mail pickup and delivery, and all that good stuff. And they've been a client of mine for many years, and vice versa. I've been in their spaces. Great company. Let's see. Also, thank everybody who's tuning in for the first time. Welcome. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show, and you can go back to marketingpulpit.com and watch those past shows. We have them categorized now very nicely. You can go to, if you have a short attention span or you're busy like me, you might go to Instagram and follow us there. We give you the 1-minute sound bites from some of the shows, some of the popular sound bites from the shows. You can also go to YouTube and just turn on the playlist. You can turn on the playlist and just go from one show to the next. I did that this weekend. I was trying to get some thoughts together, working on a new client. Sometimes I have to go back and remind myself how much information is up here. And sometimes you have to go back and remind yourself some of the things that actually I've said. So glad to have you this morning. Later in the show, we're going to talk about making it easy for people to do business with you. Man, I'm going to tell you ever had those times where somebody's, they can't even tell you what it is that they do. How can I do business with you? I don't even know what the heck you do, because you haven't made it easy for me to understand. We're going to talk about some of those self-inflicted wounds when it comes to business owners and people who are just plain not making it easy. I want to do business with you, but I can't find you. I don't understand what you're doing. So we're going to talk about that later in the show, but not before we get to our news. Let's talk about what's going on in the news. Well, YouTube just they did something on their channel this past week that I'm trying to think about. I think it was a good idea, and I think what they're doing, they're responding to some of the vitriol and meanness out here. They have taken out the little arrow that gives you the thumbs down. Now that means the person that owns the YouTube channel can still see it, but the public won't see it. So like in Facebook, if you go to Facebook, all you're going to see is likes. You don't see anything that says I dislike what you said. And because what happens, there are trolls out here. They're just a mean, spiteful, little lean knuckleheads that just go in there. And I don't care if Jesus Christ himself went in there and said something. They're going to put a thumbs down on it. And that can be kind of somewhat disheartening and demoralizing to somebody who's putting out good content. Now, that's not saying we're whitewashing and we're in a society now where everything got to be hunky-dory. But if you don't like it, just keep moving. You don't have to dislike it. So I actually applaud that move by YouTube and the people over at Google. And of course, YouTube is owned by Google. Google have this, man, they have this is a what do you call it? Ecosystem. Man, they got YouTube, Google, all these different platforms. So I say thumbs up to YouTube. Let's see what else is going on. Inflation is moving the fastest in the hot cities. In other words, where the sun is shining the hottest, inflation is going through the roof. Let's see. In these cities, let's say Atlanta, St. Louis, and Phoenix, all three cities saw an annual increase of inflation of 7% above the national average of about 6%. Now, I'm sure that has to do with a lot of things, but if you want to keep your price down, you might want to find a cooler climb. Let's see, what else is going on? People aren't returning to work. We've talked about that, and it's still going on. It's just hard to get people to come back to the office. These companies like Amazon and Google and so forth, they keep changing their mind, not because they're unsure, but because the workers keep saying, well, I'm not ready to come back yet. So in New York City, they surveyed 1 million people. 28% had returned to in-person working. The rest of them either left the workplace altogether or they're working from home. But you have to understand, you have to see how that can happen. You've been home now for almost 2 years. I mean, you got your routine down. You know how people, we're creatures of habit. Once we get used to something, it almost takes an act of God to change that. I mean, now you're used to getting your coffee, getting up in the morning, fry your egg, and go out and sit on the deck. You got your little computer set up, got your phone set there in the little cradle, got everything set up exactly right. You can go down in the yard and get a few golf balls if you want to. And all of a sudden, somebody's saying, come back to work. And the other thing, too, and we can't downplay the importance of how much child care has played a role in this. If you've gotten into this new routine, that means now dropping the kid off, picking them up, and doing what they have to do. Now you got to change that. Now you got to go find somebody to take care of that kid. So yes, I understand that. I understand it. So big companies, you got a little more work to do. People are not ready to go back to work. What else is going on? DoorDash is joining forces with Dollar General. So now you can get your cheap goods delivered to your door. I don't know about that one. I'm going to give that one a. I don't usually inject my. Wait a second, I do it all the time. I try not to inject my personal feeling on whether something is going to succeed or fail. But hey, this is what I do for a living. I can't help it. Okay, I can't help it. It's what I do. People come to me, they pay me big money to do that. But I'm gonna give that one a. I don't know. I don't think that's going to work. I mean, I get the sentiment. I don't think they're going to work the numbers out. I think the profit, reaching critical mass and profitability, I think is going to be a challenge for that particular venture. But hey, we'll see. Let's see here. Some people are saying that the pandemic has boosted productivity. I'm going to tell you why I actually believe that. Because what happened during the pandemic is that people who are working from home, all of a sudden, they get a taste of what we entrepreneurs have been dealing with all along. We don't know when to quit working. We just don't know when to stop. And it's not that we don't know when, it's just that it's harder when you're working at home because you have some type of guilt, feeling like you should be doing something, particularly if something is left undone. When you're in the office, 5 o'clock rolls around, you're out the door. Hell, I'll do it tomorrow. When you're at home, and then you didn't get it done, you're like, okay, I'm going to give it another half hour. All right. Then you land there, you're thinking about it. The idea might hit you. You jump in the middle of the night, you go work on it. Those things don't happen at work. So I think some of that boosting of productivity during the pandemic has been the way that people work differently now. People right now are working more like we business owners have been working all along. We just have a hard time turning it off. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but hey, it is what it is. What can you say? Okay, let's see. Elon Musk. I don't know about this dude. He's the richest guy in the world, so he knows he's the one that made the electric car, Tesla. And his stock cracked about $1,200 a share about a couple of weeks ago. Man, I'm telling you, I was like, I was doing the happy dance. And then Elon Musk goes on Twitter and takes a poll and asks people should he sell 10% of his stock. Well, of course, stock market is so finicky. All it takes is it's a couple of little vibrations, particularly from the richest guy in the world. And of course, what happened? The stocks dropped. It dropped about, gosh, it dropped pretty significantly. Let's put it that way. And because it dropped, Elon Musk himself lost $50 billion of wealth in 2 days following this brief crash. And I must admit, I lost a few coins myself. I wasn't too happy about the whole thing. But luckily, it has come back. I think today it's up about 1,050, something like that, a share. And so I've been saying this. I think that people should diversify. They should get into different forms of income, particularly passive income like the stock market. But you can't put your bread and butter money in there. Don't do it. You got some beer money or something, or some petty cash money, or you want to get a less expensive car and maybe put some money in something more as that can depreciate, then you may want to do that. But it's talk to your financial advisor. They'll give you advice on that. Now Thanksgiving is on the way. New York Times said Thanksgiving 2021 could be the most expensive Thanksgiving on record. Man, I'm not trying to hear that. As delicious as turkey is, man, oh man, I'm here thinking about cranberry sauce and turkey as we speak. And they're saying it's going to be the most expensive on record. Well, here's some of the reasons. Flights are being delayed, rerouted, canceled because there's a shortage of workers. The TSA can't get enough people to screen these bags. Airlines have lost people because of vaccine mandates, and some people just don't want to do the right thing. People are punching them in the head, and they just don't want to do it anymore. So that's one reason. So the airlines, that's one reason and of course that's going to affect prices. Then if you decide to drive, the cost of fuel is at an all-time high. For the average family, that's going to take a bite out of your pocket. Plus, that's going to affect the heating. So you hope it's a warm Thanksgiving. Otherwise, you're going to have your heater on. That's going to cost you more money. And food prices are at the highest point since 1970. Man, this is not good news. Look as I can get me some turkey. I love me some Thanksgiving. I ain't going to lie. I am not going to lie. So food prices are high. Of course, the supply chain, fertilizer shortage. Man, this is not looking good. And the price of a turkey has doubled in the past 2 years. Okay. I have to think about that one. Price of a turkey. All right, anyway, folks, get ready. And my point, another thing, I have to contextualize everything. Now, what does that mean? Some of you out there in some of these industries, and I say anytime you hear any news like this, you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have to look for the opportunities. So you may be in a business where you might benefit from people who are going to be traveling less. You may be in an industry where if somebody can't afford a turkey, you may be able to benefit from that. If you sell in turkey, you can start, maybe you stocked up on turkeys, or maybe you can offer half turkeys, having people buy their food, have it delivered versus buying a whole turkey. My point is, as business owners, we have to look at the news. The reason I give this news is not to bring anybody down, but to let you know that there's opportunity. You have to read between the lines. I mean, that's why I read the business news every morning. I'm looking for opportunity. That's right. All right, so much for turkey. Now I'm hungry. Let's see, what time is it? Lunchtime yet? Find me a turkey sandwich. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to do a Subway. Man, even Subway was in the news. Something was going on with Subway. Man, these are not your normal times. Even poor Gladys Knight, she can't even get a break. Miss, what's that song? What's Gladys Knight's favorite main song? All right, somebody help me out. Heard It Through the Grapevine. That was done by Roger and Marvin Gaye. What's another one of her songs? Love Overboard, Gladys Knight. Let's see, what else is she saying? Hi, Brother Thomas. Give me a Gladys Knight. Something about Georgia. Can't think of it. Anyway, you know, your mind just goes. I'm trying to think of something. If I wasn't trying to think of something, I would have think of 1,000 Gladys Knight tunes. But anyway, her son, uh, back in a few years ago, there was a restaurant called Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles. And I went there. They had one right here in Largo, really, literally right down the street from my office. Went in there. And I'm not sure if waffles and chicken is actually. I always thought it was a strange combination, but it is a pretty popular Southern dish. Well, there was a restaurant called Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles. Well, her son, who was only 21 at the time, was one of the founders, a guy named Hankerson, and Shanga Hankerson. That's the son of Gladys Knight. Started this restaurant, and they got in trouble with the IRS. Man, I'm telling you, folks, don't you mess with that IRS. They will come get you. You're not paying those payroll taxes. Let me tell you something else, folks. I'll tell you this. You can do. I've done several sermons on don't mess around trying to cut corners. Just do it the right way. It's not going to be worth it. But this guy, Shanga Hankerson, ends up owing $1 million in unpaid taxes, penalties, and fees to the IRS. And he's about to serve some prison time. Well, anyway, his mom, Gladys, ends up suing him to take my name off of this. That's another lesson. Your brand. Boy, that is why. That's why you guys don't see 1,000 different people coming on this show. Matter of fact, you probably haven't seen any in a while. That's except my co-hosts. I mean, they're still good. People like Candace and Wena and Blossom, they just got busy. But I'm just not running anybody through here because people associate with you. And next thing you know, it becomes part of your brand. I've even done a show on this, on how sometimes when you have to watch who you let people they put you on their website. Sometimes they smooth out their rough edges, or they may put you as part of their startup team or part of their consulting team. And then next thing you know, you all over their website and everything, and they're going off to jail. And then next thing you know, your brand is bunk. We saw that happen to a very iconic news, J.C. Hayward in the D.C. area. That happened to her. She was involved with some organization, and things went downhill. Next thing you know, everybody looking at her cross-eyed. So anyway, sorry, Gladys, that happened to you. But I know it was your son, but sometimes you got to dig a little deeper. Oh, boy, last news story we're going to talk about. That tragic incident that happened in Houston, the Travis Scott concert. Man. Woo, boy. I'm telling you, it's been like 20-something lawsuits. The police chief, every day the story gets grimmer for Scott and his crew. First, they said that they told him that it was that he should have stopped the show. Now the news came out today that say one of the fire chiefs told him to cancel the show. And so anyway, that is I don't know what happened. I don't know if Scott said and his people and his attorney saying that he didn't know people were dying, but the death count now is up to 9 people. That is tragic beyond words. And these are mostly young people. And the youngest victim was he's like 9 years old in a coma. I think a 10-year-old passed away. Most of the others between late teens and early 20s. First of all, my prayers go out to the ones who died and were injured, and to their families who are suffering. And I would say to anybody, put principle over profits. I've heard, matter of fact, one of my clients, that's one of their slogans. Put principles over profits, principles over power, people over profits. And I'm not saying they did that, but that's a good rule to live by. Put people over profits. Whoever came up with that, I say it's a good thing to live by. And I hope they do the right thing with this situation. Now, Travis did say he would pay for the funeral expenses, and he said he was offering some type of some type of mental health services, and then that became controversial. They said the company that he recommended was some rip-off company, and it's like, man, this guy can't win. Folks, I'm telling you, just watch who you associate with, and if your name is associated with, if somebody's doing something where you may be held liable or responsible, you got to get away from it. You got to walk away. I'm telling you, you can't let the money be the deciding factor. Too many people after the fact, they said, man, the instinct was telling them something, but they said, man, look at the money that's being made here. I mean, in my career, I never forget I was on this contract with this guy. He just courted me to come on this contract with him. Boy, but that guy was crooked as a dog's hind leg. And I had to walk away. Money was good, but he was doing some shenanigans, and I just didn't want any part of it. So I said, look, you do what you got to do, but I'm gone. I got to keep moving. And so we got to do that, people, as people, and particularly as business owners. We're going to take a quick break. When I come back, I've got a little interesting. We'll do a little trivia today. We're going to talk about some fast food facts that you might not know about. And this is really going to be interesting. And it also tells you about how companies have evolved over the years. So don't go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We'll be right back in a moment. One of those pivotal aspects of business success, you have to tie it to something, you have to ground it. Because marketing is all about psychology. It's understanding human behavior. Success is not a finite. You have control over what constitutes success. I had somebody ask me the other day, said, Gatewood, I want to hire you to do my branding for me. Where do I get started? I said, you have already started, I hope. How are you treating your customers? How are you treating your staff? Are you making a difference in society? What kind of service are you putting out here? You're already branding whether you know it or not. The key is it the type of branding you want? You are messaging in every decision you make in your company. That logo that people claim to be the brand is just the iconic representation of the brand that you've already developed. Does the brand that you have already started represent where you want to be? Use social media and stop letting it use you. If you want to use social media, folks, use it towards your business. There's a lot of good things you can do with social media. You can share your information, you can display your products, you can help brand. I don't like the fact that everybody's showing off and showing how great they are, and they're showing their cars and the food they're eating and the clothes they're wearing and how successful they are, and they're showboating. It's just the greatest tool for showing off. That when you're doing that kind of showing off, you're feeding into this monster of excessism and materialism. Social media has helped fuel this. All right, welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. In a moment, we're going to talk about making it easy for people to do business with you, and how some companies have made it harder to be successful because they're putting up these unnecessary roadblocks to success. That's going to be our marketing sermon coming up. But first, we're going to do a little fast food fun facts. And I found this interesting, and I thought you might find it fine. You might find it interesting as well. Did you know that you can stay at a Kentucky Fried Chicken hotel? That's right. In London, of course you have to go to London to do this. They actually have a hotel where you can actually, I guess, eat your fried chicken and go upstairs and take a nap. I thought that was very interesting. Let's see what else is going on. And I'm telling you what, some of these fast food people, they have become innovators on different ways to make money. Did you know that in Japan, KFC is a favorite Christmas food? I can see that. Did you know that McDonald's used to sell pizza? I can see that, but I can see why they would stop too. Did you know that the Queen of England owns a McDonald's? I can see her now here, little McDonald's smart doing some fries. Hello, you would afraid with that chick? Oh boy! Now here's something you may not know. Now this I like this story right here. McDonald's is the largest distributor of toys in the world. I mean, that makes you wait a minute, Robert. McDonald's is the world's largest toy distributor. That's right. Those little toys they be giving out in those Happy Meals, they add up. With 68 million visitors a day, 15% wanting Happy Meals makes McDonald's the largest distributor of toys in the world. Another thing you may not know about McDonald's is that they also are real estate. They make more of their money off of real estate than they do off of selling hamburgers. And that's why I like for us, our business owners, to start thinking a little deeper. Just because what you put out there in front of the world is what people see, that does not have to be your primary source of revenue. Like you guys see me sitting up here on the air every day. You thinking, well, this guy must make a lot of money on this radio show, TV show. That's not our main source of revenue. Believe it or not, our biggest source of revenue right now is technology and web services. Some people don't even know we do that. Sometimes you got to keep your hand, hold your cards a little close to your chest. But anyway, you can do that too. Don't necessarily feel like because what you are promoting has to be your primary source of income. Let's see. Waffle House. You think that their main revenue is waffles, but they're also one of the largest sellers of T-bone steaks. Once again, what you see is not always where the money is being made. It brings up another topic I used to talk about. When you're competing against somebody, do they have the freedom to abandon the market? In other words, they could price you under the table on something you're trying to compete with them against, but that's not their main source of revenue. They're over there making their money on something else, and they can just keep lowering that price to run you out of business because they have what is called the freedom to abandon the market. So you're thinking that Waffle House is over there worrying about because you didn't buy a waffle from them, and they selling steaks like to beat the band. Very interesting. There are some lessons in these stories, ladies and gentlemen. There are lessons in these stories. We talked about earlier about means to an end. Pizza Hut changed their name. They named their name Pizza Hut because on their first restaurant they were putting the sign up on the wall, and they used the word hut because it would fit on the sign. Y'all thought somebody was sitting around in test tubes and smoky filled room trying to come up with that name. They said, man, this is the way this roof is shaped. We need a short name to fit on the end of this word pizza. And they came with the name Pizza Hut. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, go back to what I said earlier. The means to the end. Pizza Hut is about making that money. They're not into the sign making business or the naming business. They're into making that money. And you have to kind of do that. You have to step back every now and then when you're trying to you spend all this time trying to make these decisions, and you realize these decisions don't mean a hill of beans in the big picture. Pizza Hut, good example. IHOP put pancake batter in its omelets. I can see that. Did you know that Chick-fil-A gives its first 100 people free meals when they open up a new restaurant? That's a good idea. Get me in line every time. I like Chick-fil-A. They're a little too political sometimes, but they do have a good sandwich. You may not know this. What is the largest food chain in the world? Do you think it's the one we already talked about? Wrong. It's Subway. Subway has 42,000 restaurants. 42,000. Bigger than McDonald's. That's right. In New Zealand, Domino is using drones to deliver its food. I have to see that in action. I mean, how did they get it in your hand? Did they drop it out of the sky on a parachute? I have to do a little research on that. They're delivering their food with drones. Okay. Go ahead and finish this up here. And in Australia, they're actually delivering their food using robots. And in Texas, they're actually already doing that now. The little, like a little golf cart, drives up to your door with a pizza. So these pizza people, they're actually using some cutting edge technology right now. So, folks, let me tell you something. That technology, don't ignore it. You got to grab it. You got to embrace it. Let's talk about our sermon for today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as I've stated earlier, many of us, when we go into business, we have this goal in mind to make money, to make a difference in the community, to have a legacy to pass down. And sometimes what we find out is that some of the things that we're trying to do, we have obstacles that stand in the way. And one of the biggest obstacles, believe it or not, comes to reaching that critical mass. Critical mass is that point where you break even and you starting to bring in more money than you're sending out. And that's important in the lifetime of a business. Unfortunately, many people don't get there. And sometimes it's their own doing. In business, you have two metrics you have to watch at all times. The first one is the cost per acquisition, what it costs to get a customer. And every customer has a cost. Many of us don't know what that cost is, but you should. The other metric you should be aware of is the lifetime value. How much money is that customer going to spend with you during the time that you're engaged with that particular customer? That's another number you need to be aware of. Well, that second number is ultra important because you have control over that through providing good service. Good service is going to get you repeat business. It's going to get you referrals, upselling, cross-selling, side selling, residual sales. All of that comes through good service. Now, I'm going to give you some ways why sometimes that doesn't happen, because many clients, many customers, and some of you are making it too hard for people to do business with you. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, you have to understand the competition out here. You got people out here dropping food out of the sky on drones. So you have some pretty imaginative, innovative competitors out here that you're competing against. So you've got to be at your best game. You don't have to necessarily go out here and hire a fleet of drones tomorrow. But the things that you do, that you are currently doing, you have to do better. And you have to make it easy, and don't put up obstacles for people who are trying to give you money. So I'm going to talk about several ways where we have actually made it harder than it should be for people to do business with you. So the first thing I want you to do is you have to make it easy for people to understand what it is that you do. Now that might seem like an obvious one, but it is so not the case. Some people come to me and they say, look, Mr. Gatewood, I want you to help me with my business. I'm like, I'm ready to. All right, man, what are you doing? Selling pies, making cars? And they start this description. Well, I have a mission critical business that based on the foundation of the upstarts and downsides of, I'm like, what the heck? You got to make that. I don't know what the heck I'm a pretty smart guy, but I still don't know what the heck you're doing. So if you ever run into that situation where you have a business that's really complicated, very involved, you have to engage in a exercise to make it easy for people to understand what it is that you do. You have to work on your pitch. You have to do some 1, 2, 3, easy 1, 2, 3. And if you ever run into a situation where you have to explain it to people and you know it's very difficult, give an example of what it is that you do. Give an A/B example. Say, look, I help companies increase their bottom line revenues by providing assistance, virtual services. We come to your office. As a matter of fact, last week we went into a client's office and we set up their internal systems. We train their staff. You have to give some real live examples in those type of cases to help people understand what it is that you do. So the first thing on my list is on making it easy for people to do business with you is to help them understand what it is that you do. Okay. The second one is I have to be able to understand how to find you. Once again, this might seem a given, something that we might all would accept as a norm, that everybody knows how to find you. That's not the case. Well, first of all, many of us, when I say find right now, we're dealing with companies now that have several locations. They may have multiple physical locations, but you also now, one of your locations, one of those P's of the 4 P's of marketing is place, is also in the digital space. So one way they may not be able to find you is that you have a domain name, lack of a better term, it's kind of jacked up. has nothing to do with what you do. Has nothing to do with what you do. It's too long. It's irrelevant. And people just can't find you in the digital space. Now, I'm just going to quickly tell you, if that ever happens to you, you have a name. Let's say sometimes you name your business after your grandma, and I mean, bless the rest of her soul. And you say, I don't care what happens. My business is going to be Mama Jones Cookies or Mama Jones Technical Services. Okay, thank you for honoring Mama Jones, but it's going to hurt your business if you don't take some remedial steps. First of all, what you may have to do immediately is get your business on the search engines so people can find you, particularly if you have one of those names that are tough. You can do some organic searches. You can do SEO. You can do pay per click with some Google service ads, but you gotta help people find you. So that's another one of the things that we can do to help make it easy for people to do business with us. We gotta help them understand what it is. We gotta help people find it. Let's see, what else we got? Now, what we're doing now, we're trying to help people understand that it's going to be very hard to do business if you're making it unnecessarily hard for people to do business with you. They got to be able to know what you do. They got to be able to find you. Another one, this is very important. People have to be able to pay you. You've got to make it easy for people to give you money. Once again, it might seem obvious to some, but this is not a given. I still have people fighting me over, I don't trust that online stuff. Some guy in Russia gonna take all my money and run off. Let me tell you, you probably got a better chance of some knucklehead hitting you on the side of the head and driving you on the sidewalk or coming into your office than some Russian person taking your money online. There are safeguards for this now. You can protect that. You get yourself, you got to get an SSL certificate now. Google's going to require that to even include you in their searches, but you're also going to get things like website security that protects you from spam, from malware and things like that. So, but you have to make it easy for people to give you money. That is foundational. There's so many ways out here now. There's Zelle, there's Cash App, there's Square, there's PayPal, there's Venmo. There's all these different ways to help people pay you. If you want to see an example of how it works, you can go to my website, drop in some money while you're there. Go to gatewaymarketing.com. I have a whole page of ways that people can pay. I even have a QR code. People can go in there and take their phone and they can scan the QR code and it brings up they can pay right on their phone. They don't have to type it in. They don't have to pull out everything is right there on the screen. So what we've done at Gatewood Marketing and Web, go to gatewoodmarketing.com and go ahead and drop that money while you're there. No, I'm just kidding. And you can see an example of some of the ways that you can make it easy for people to give you money. Talked to a guy just yesterday. He ordered some uniforms and some face masks with his logo on it. And I ran it downstairs and gave it to him. And he said, hey, man, how can I pay you? Can I do Cash App? I said, yeah. Man, that thing was in my account right away. Now, of course, now that you're on a little secret here, the IRS, they're starting to track these digital payments now. So just because you're taking it digitally, don't mean the IRS doesn't know about it. So you better talk to your accountant and let them know that you got this money coming in over here and the money over there, and not just to count the money that's in your bank account. You got to count the money that's in Cash App and Cash App, of course, goes to your bank account. But you have these PayPal accounts, these Square accounts, these other types of accounts. That money has to be accounted for. And once again, don't think that the IRS doesn't know. They know. They know big time. Let's see. Here's another one. You have to make it easy for people to refer people to you. And we talked about the lifetime value of a customer. And that is simply meaning that what does that client spend with you once they become a client? Now, if you're ordering business cards, now, of course, this has actually changed. This dynamic has changed since we've been into the pandemic. In the old days, you were handing out business cards and flyers and things like that when you were trying to get somebody to refer people to you. But even then, when you were ordering your business card, you didn't just order like 50. You want to order like that big long box of 1,000. And instead of giving somebody one card, hey, give them 4 or 5, because people want to refer you to people. Most of my clients, hear this, ladies and gentlemen, most of my clients come to me through referrals. And because I know that, I have to continually work on ways to make it easier to keep greasing that slope so they can keep referring them. That means when I order business cards, I order the big box. I give somebody a card, I give them 4 or 5 at a time. When I send out emails, I have links on there, how people can refer. I have referral partners. I make it easy for people to make an appointment. When you get an email from me in the signature, there's a link to set up an appointment. And they can pass it on to other people. One of my biggest sources of clients, believe it or not, is like the university over here at Bowie State University. The people over there, they just send me clients. How did I make that easier? One, I go over there and give free courses. I don't charge them for it. I make sure they have my materials. I make sure they have my email address. I make sure my website is up and running. I make sure that the people they're sending me can easily make an appointment. So these are things that you can do as a business owner that don't cost you any money. It's going to increase your customer count. It's going to make it easy for people to do business with you. And the worst thing you can do, considering how much competition you have out there, is to make that process harder. And there are other ways too. These are just some of the top ones. So wrapping things up, as a business owner, we have challenges. And thank you. Good morning, Mr. Murray, for joining us this morning. We have challenges as a business owner. I have that the whole time. We have challenges as a business owner that there's something that what we call controlling the controllables. Sometimes we can't control the competition. We can't control prices. We can't control what Facebook is going to do tomorrow. We can't control if Elon Musk decides tomorrow to crash the Tesla stock market. But there's something that we all can control. And that main thing is that we can make it easier that when people want to do business with us, people that want to give us money, people want to find us, people that want to refer us to other people, people that want to simply understand what it is that we do, we can remove those obstacles by taking some simple steps. I've given you some pointers today on how to do that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today. Don't you forget to join me every week. I want you to share this show with others, because there are many people out here who are in the business realm and they don't know that these resources are available. They're here spending money on some joke they never heard of. We can bring this money back home. Okay, and I have a big referral system. Anybody in the sound of my voice at some point, they probably got a referral from me. So we have to support our community, our local businesses, bring some of that money that people are spending over in Uzbekistan and Pakistan and India and China. We have resources right here in our community. I mean, talented people like yourself, like and you, like Mr. Murray, Brother Bradley, Mr. Brown, Emmanuel, all these folks out here doing great things, and we're going to support them. All right, we're going to be back next week at the same time, right here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. And as always, if you want to be successful, you've got to do these 3 things. You got to do the right thing. You got to do it at the right time. And you got to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. People don't understand marketing. You can't stop every time the money runs out. You need to come on and tell people why your service is different. Why is everybody so angry? Airline passengers biting the TSA agents. I mean, it reminds me of one of those zombie apocalyptic movies. And as a community, collectively, we're going to be taken more seriously if we have that strong economic foundation. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.